Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is the iPEGA 9083. Thank you very much to GearBest for sending this out to me for review. If you're interested in purchasing this product, you can find the link in the description field. Now, this is a natural extension, the natural evolution of retractable controllers. The original one that I've used was a Moga Pro that was only for phones, and it was kind of gross. You needed an app to use it, and only that app supported some smaller apps, so it was not really the best idea. Then the Phone Joy came out, and even that wasn't the best quality. This seems to be a better idea in that, if we go ahead and unlock this, this can accommodate up to 11-inch tablets, which is huge, and it also presents some really interesting ideas insofar as being able to create very large gaming handhelds. Handheld, used loosely, but handheld nonetheless. Not something that would be deemed a traditional handheld, but for people that want a handheld with a very large screen, that is something that you could totally use. This then becomes attractive. Additionally, the weight of this is extremely light. I want to say it's less than 100 grams. The control and feel of it, the ergonomics of it is really nice. It does say that it supports the Switch here. However, number one, I have two problems with this. If we go ahead and remove the Joy-Cons here. Here. So here's problem number one, is that it doesn't actually fit. So it doesn't go inside this little crevice here, so it's actually just sitting on that lip. Now, if we just kind of close this together, it doesn't actually hold the device. So while it says it supports the Switch, this looks really cool, and I could totally see it for a lot of people that were looking for something to have a little bit more meaty controls, a little bit more robust controls for the Nintendo Switch. That would have been nice. Unfortunately, I can't even get it connected to the Switch. So when you put it in Switch mode and you hold down the home button, these LEDs will blink accordingly. But going into the controller menu, nothing actually works. So not being able to actually use it for the Nintendo Switch is another thing that I wouldn't recommend. Perhaps this update for this is preventing that from working, or there's something else that needs to happen. The instruction manual isn't clear, and looking online hasn't provided anything fruitful. For this, for X input and direct input, these are two different types of, obviously, input methods. X input is going to be the one I would prefer everyone to use. Direct input is easier to connect. With X input, you're going to need a micro USB cable to connect and initialize to a tablet. I want to let people know that have like Bay Trail types of tablets that might have finicky Bluetooth controllers. You're most likely going to have a bad time. I have two Bay Trail tablets, and neither really worked very well with either one of these. I do have a newer 7Y30 TechLast X5 Pro that worked with both. And the problem is that the TechLast X5 Pro doesn't actually fit within this. Even though this extends to 11 inches, the TechLast is like 12 inches. So unfortunately, it wouldn't be able to be used. And also, the TechLast is heavy, so I really wouldn't advise using it for that particular purpose. There is a 7Y30 tablet that you can get for $300. It's the 4GB version, and that one is cheap. It's like $300. So combined with this, you can make yourself a really nice Windows tablet that isn't too expensive. You can consider it like a Win 2 Lite, but just large. So it's the XL Lite, to put it another way. The quality of this device, again, is really nice considering what it is. Particularly, I really like the ergonomics of it. The ergonomics and the control of it is impressive, to say the least. Like how they've been iterating and evolving these types of products. I've never had an iPEGA controller before. I can say with certainty that this particular controller actually is very nice. So these buttons are considerably hard to see, but it is just the Dreamcast Xbox controller layout. So you have XY, AB instead of BA, YX, which is the Nintendo layout. So as long as you have that in mind, I don't really look at buttons. Any particular gamer, I would imagine that you're not really looking at buttons. You kind of have that whole muscle memory mapped. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at how this works with putting in an Android tablet. So we'll go ahead and unlock this, open this up, take my Mi Pad 3, put it in here. Now you just want to kind of press down a little bit when you lock it. So we'll just press down. This is locked. And then when that happens, that this is held reasonably securely. If you were to wiggle it pretty hard, it will eject out of it. But for the most part, it isn't going anywhere and it's held in place. So it's nothing's going to happen. So before, when you first saw this, you might have seen that this LED was on because we're actually connected to this Android tablet. If we go ahead and hold home, this will turn it on. This will say that it's ready to be paired. We'll go ahead and go into Bluetooth, and you can see the iPEGA 983 LED turns solid. We're now connected. Let's go ahead and jump into Mupen, which is N64 Emulation, and it works without any hitches. Latency is almost non-existent. I don't feel any particular latencies that I would complain about myself. Additionally, it has the full analog function, so if we just push a little, we'll do the tiptoe action. So everything works as you would anticipate it working. Obviously, you had to go into the controller setup to get this worked. So you need to assign the analog sticks, you need to assign buttons. So I've assigned these to B and A specifically, and these are the menu functions. So if we press back, that would happen. L2 is Z, but I mean you could make this whatever you wanted to because the emulators allow that. So if you wanted something that could play emulators, because there are a lot of cheap Android tablets that are quite capable of playing a whole suite of different emulators, and now you can have a very large screen with this type of device. It becomes interesting to think of that. Again, because the controller is light, it doesn't actually add any particular overall weight to the device. So overall, it's still fairly light altogether, even with a light tablet and the light controllers themselves. Together, they form something that is not even approaching like a medium weight. I want to say that this together is probably around 400 grams. Less than a pound. Anyway, so that's obviously emulators, and you should anticipate emulators working just fine. What about Android native games? Now, this is a Game Loft game, so you know that these guys will be doing a little bit more. But having said that, everything does just kind of work. I didn't do anything. I literally just started the game, and everything started working. So there is something to be said for that. Obviously, not all Android games that support controllers will just kind of work out of the box like this. But I would imagine that to a fair degree, Game Bluff presents. To a fair degree, a lot of things should just work. Oh, let's skip this. Now, there is no auto-aim function in this game. I've taken a look through the controllers, which means that, obviously analog input without any aim assist is kind of gross, and you should kind of strafe into your shots. I love this guy. So aggressive. So again, this game was made to work with Android controllers. And you should anticipate that to just work. We just slid over a box. So you can see later on you get these iron sights, and that does help by just, slowing down your movement. But overall, it's still kind of gross. So that's that. Now there is one other function within here that is pretty neat. Now, if you were to hold, I think it's home and Y. No, whoop. Yeah, it's home and Y. Now you can actually go into a mouse mode, which is pretty curious. Let's see, these have become media functions. Okay, so volume up, volume down. There we go. So left click is left click. We'll go ahead and get out of here. But this becomes a multimedia function. So in the event that you wanted to use the iPEGA 9083 as a controller for like an Android media center, you could do that as well. So you can kind of just connect this to an Android TV box and then use this to kind of navigate around, which is an interesting idea. And then when you're playing games, you can just kind of home and Y. Is it Y home? Oh, X, sorry. Pressing the wrong button. So yeah, home and X will go to the different modes. Can I swipe over here? So home and X. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. So it's home and Y to go into the mouse mode. See it there. And then home and X to go back to controller mode. You can see those icons highlighting. So again, it's an interesting device for Android specific stuff. I've had zero problems with it. For the Switch, I really couldn't recommend it. And for Windows devices, try to look up and see if it has support for it before you go ahead and buy this. If your main goal is to take a look at this for Android devices, I can 100% recommend it, especially for Android TV boxes. Again, you have that mouse mode, which is pretty interesting. The device itself is super light. The ergonomics are great. The controls feel great. I could recommend it for Android stuff. For everything else, check if compatibility is there. For Switch, don't even bother looking at it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.